And here we have the Bung. Note its circularity. The Bung is bisected by roads. And it has 4 quarters, basically. You'll have on the right-hand side and on the left-hand side, and then the top left and the top right and the bottom right and the bottom left. And so this quarter here is referred to as the People's Quarter because this is where all the bars are, and there's a lot of like living area here, and the Warrens is abutting. So this area is referred to as People's Quarter, and therefore this is the People's Gate. This is the North Gate, East Gate, South Gate, West Gate. And then, so this is the Arts Quarter here. And then this is the Low Quarter, and this is the High Quarter. So the High Quarter is where all the rich people live. It's where the racetrack is. It's where the mayoral mansion is. This place is called the Estates. This is a bunch of walled off estates and the supporting structures for those estates. And then over on this side, we've got Uptown. And Uptown is a nice little settlement where all the shishi guys hang out. It'd be like Soho if you're in, or Tarrytown if you're in Austin. And then here we have, this is Bar Row. And so this is all drinking establishments and breweries. And this one here is Fangs, and it's run by a vampire. And they specialize with blood tinctured kinds of ales and wines. And a lot of these haven't been named, but as they come up in the stories, they will be. This is Frau's house, Madame Frau, and that's her house. And the Weeping Dragon Inn, and this is where y'all's home away from home is most of the time. And then It Rises Bakery is right next door. The Rusty Nail, the Cracked Mug, Snuffies. And these are all bars. The Big Top, that one's clown themed. The Cart and Horse, this is where a lot of people go just to park their stuff. It's right near one of the main gates in town. The West Gate is really well used. So the Cart and Horse is pretty popular, and it's got a lot of storage area for carts and horses because you really can't take horses around a lot in the Bung. So this is the Warren. And the Warren is just basically houses stacked on top of houses with ladders and ropes hanging in between. It is very cheap to live there, very dangerous to live there. This is the Temple of Tess. It's also the Arena Guild Hall. And it's not really a Temple of Tess anymore. It's in very much disrepair. The priesthood has been driven out of the city, and the temple itself is used as a guild hall for the fighting pit, which is right here, and that's gladiatorial in nature. Oh, and the Warren, the super lives on the corner, and he's the person who's ostensibly in charge of this area. Here we have the Leathery, and this is one of the few places in the Bung that's actually a shop that you can go in and shop at. And then the Family Jewels is next door. That's not a shop, it's just a jeweler who does commissions. There are very few shops in town. We'll get to that later on. This is a shrine to Fum. And then here is a large theater. And this is where everybody goes to check it out. So Temple of Bonobo is right here. And then in the center of the Bung is a capped off well. This well was abandoned a long time ago. It's tied into an abandoned set of sewers underneath the city. And this place around it is a bunch of tent tops. It's referred to as the third-hand market. And this is basically a lot of stolen goods and this is the only place you can come to in town really just to go shopping. And a lot of people end up coming here to buy their stolen goods back. Because there's a lot of banditry that happens outside the Bung, and inevitably that stuff will end up in here, and it's just kind of the way things happen, and people do business in that way. You just go check the third hand, and it's kind of like a tax. So this is the temple to Bonobo, and Bonobo is the god of love and the arts. And therefore, behind it, supporting the theater, is a workshop where they do all the stage construction and stuff like that. This is a commune type thing of artists. It's called Slackerville, and these are where the stagehands live that work over there, work on the theater. There's an orphanage here, and then the Bitter Pill Apothecary. And the granary is where all of the grains come in from Southgate, and they dump them all right here, and then people will bring their carts around the outside, pick it up here for their brew, you know, grain, barley, hops, most things that are not meat end up here. And then here's the warehouse district, and it's conveniently located by the south. And there's a lot of aging ales here, and a lot of different, 10-year scotches and such. But there's also just a lot of stuff being stored here. And these are owned by the consortium, so who knows what kind of nefarious stuff is going on. So this is worker housing down here. It's called the Burbs. And this is blue collar housing pretty much. It's pretty nice. They keep an eye on the warehouses. The consortium keeps an eye on them. And everything works out pretty nice. And then this is the local drinking establishment for the Burbs. It's called the Ale House. They don't actually brew there. They serve whatever cheap slop that they can get a hold of. Then here we have Sparrow's Meadow. So this entire area is still natural woods, like it was when before the city was built. They kept it this way in conjunction with the Druids, and in the center of this is a large wizard's tower that was taken over by a gnome who is now the money changer. So this is the coinery. This is where people go to change their coins into jewels and back and forth, whatever. In amongst the trees, there's a shrine to Genevieve here. And then this is also an adjunct wizard's tower, but has become the temple to Gerard. There's a lot of books there. If you want to go study rare texts, this is probably the best place. There's some priests on hand that can cast spells for you. So we're in the low quarter now, and here we have the temple to the Twilight Star. And they've begun doing street patrols around in this area, including some parts of the Warren. This is the Wainwright, and this is where most of the carts are made here in town. The forgery is actually a large consortium of blacksmiths. And they make the rings for the barrels, they make just all the crap for in town at the behest of the consortium. There's nothing for sale there, but you can go and make some money if you pass the tests. And that pretty much covers the Bung.